The NBA playoffs are here, and I'm getting my bets in on FanDuel. Talk to me, Chuck GPT. What do you know?
All sorts of interesting stuff, even Charles Barkley's greatest fear.
Hey, nobody needs to know that.
New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
21 plus and present in select states.
Must be first online real money wager. $5 deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The Red Apple Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Big developments in Israel's war on Hamas and all eyes on a potential big hostage release. Joining us now is Itay Milner. He's a spokesman and also consul for media affairs at the Consulate General of Israel in New York. Itay, great to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you for hosting me, Rita.
What do you think is going to happen at the taping time that we're doing this podcast? So far, this major hostage deal, it looks like it's in writing or at least in verbal terms there, but the actual release and some of the developments of it have not come to fruition. Where is this headed? What do you think is going to happen?
So right now, we are at a stage that the Israeli government approved in a government vote the agreement with Hamas, not directly negotiating with Hamas, but through the United States and Qatar. And the agreement, in essence, says that Israel will pause, both sides will pause any military operation for 4 days. And during those 4 days, 50 Israeli hostages, actually only kids and women, would be released, and that will happen on the course of 4 days, gradually every day around 12.
How complicated was it to get to this moment? And does it seem obviously frustrating that certainly all of the hostages are not being released? Obviously, we want to see them all home.
Yes, so this is a very complicated and sensitive matter. Israel was attacked, as everyone knows, on October 7th by barbaric savages that crossed the border and killed 1,300 Israelis and raped and killed kids. And we all know what happened. And we all know that they also took 240 hostages with them to Gaza. It took us 45 days onto this conflict until there was the condition to negotiate matured. If you remember, before the military operation began, Hamas did not want to negotiate, and they had a no-starter that any negotiation would start with releasing all of the prisoners that are in Israeli jails, all of the Hamas prisoners, which are thousands of terrorists that are the worst of the worst. Many of them are murderers of multiple civilians, and with our experience from the past, we know that releasing those out of prison will only make things worse. The leader of Hamas today, Yahya Sinwar, is actually a prisoner that was in Israeli jail until 2011. And was released in one of those prisoners' trade. So it's definitely something that we could not proceed with or accept. And the military operation had two objectives. One is to eliminate Hamas, which everyone in Israel at this stage, and I think in the world, everyone that is has a brain, understands that this is not a sustainable situation to have a terrorist group like Hamas, who are no different than ISIS, right next to our border. So that was the number one objective, still is the number one objective. And the second one, not less important, is to release all the hostages. Now, some would argue that those two objectives in conflict. But I think what is turning out now is it's actually the other way around. In the beginning, Hamas were very stiff on their conditions. Now, after the military operation progressed and Hamas is much more pressured, they need this pause more than we do. And that is why they are willing to negotiate and willing to be more flexible on their terms. And this is the situation that we are right now. Having said that, this deal is also a very bad deal because it's, the second objective of this war is to release all the hostages. And I don't even want to think or, what those families of the rest of the hostages feel right now when they know that their loved ones will stay in one of those tunnels in Gaza with Hamas terrorists guarding them and with no information of what's going on with them and they don't know whether they will stay alive. So yes, this is a very tough deal because Israel had to agree to not all of the hostages now, just part of it. But I think that in the overall calculation, we understand, everybody in Israel, I think most of the people understand that we have to take what we can get right now. Because nobody guarantees that if we don't make the deal right now, those 50 mostly kids, some of them are babies, some of them there's a 10-month-old baby there. Nobody can guarantee to us that they will be safe.
Yeah, it's such an important point, as you're saying. So they're offering this. You at least want to take some. It's better than none, correct?
Yeah. You want to secure what you can secure. And, some people would say that it's also the deal is very bad for the first objective, which is to eliminate Hamas. Because if you stop the military operation, you know where you started, but you don't know where it will end. In 4 or 5 days, I don't know how it's going to take, it may be extended. Hamas can regroup. Hamas can gather intelligence on where the IDF soldiers are. They could also not respect the truth, which they did in previous years, and just attack us during that time. And, taking the advantage that we are right now scattered all over the Gaza Strip, and they can have some military achievements that they couldn't get if there wasn't any truth. So this also, of course, is challenging, for the first objective. But I believe that it's more important to save the people that you can save right now, and we can always resume with the operation right after. And in fact, the Israeli government and the Prime Minister himself are committed as part of the government decision to approve the deal. They also committed and obligated themselves to resume the operation right after.
Are you worried, and is the Israeli government worried, that it could be this sort of drip, drip, drip of hostages, too, that at some point they're going to say, okay, well, we want another 10 days for 10 hostages, or maybe now they're going to say 5. They'll try to kind of bargain it. And just like you said, it puts Israel in a difficult situation if they keep dragging this out, because as we know, there's 240 hostages. That's a lot of days.
Hey, that's the right question, because we don't know a lot right now. We don't know who are the hostages. We can only assume, but Hamas, even the minimum of humanity to release the names of the people that they hold, they never did that. They never let the Red Cross visit them and check their health and their well-being. So we don't know much, and we also don't know who will be the hostages that will be released. We know that they are the kids and the mothers, but we don't know who and when and in what day which hostage will come back home, and we won't know it until they cross the border. Now, the only thing that we know for sure is that we can't trust Hamas. They proved it time after time. Every time that we thought that we have some kind of an understanding with them, they did what was against everything that we agreed, and there's a high probability that it will happen this time as well. And Hamas are expert in doing psychological warfare. So, we can only expect that they will use everything that they have to create a situation for the Israeli public to pressure the government, or for the international community to pressure the government, so the operation won't resume. They will try everything that they can, from not releasing some of the hostages, from saying that some of them they can't find them. They're already saying that some of the hostages are being kept with other organizations. They're going to have tons of excuse, and they're going to try everything. But we're going to make sure that they're holding into it, and we have guarantees from other countries. And if they won't, we will just resume the operation.
How likely is it that the Red Cross will be able to see the hostages? As you brought up, they have not been able to do it at this point. Is there a chance that on this round, there were some reports that they might be able to go in and at least see the other hostages, like you said, to know who's there, who isn't, proof of life, the condition that they're in? Is there any guarantee in this phase that could happen?
So there are some, mixed information about that. Prime Minister Netanyahu said, and if he said it, it's part of the deal, that the Red Cross will be able to visit the hostages, but Hamas is denying it, and I'm sure that it was agreed. I'm just also very concerned that Hamas is already trying to get out of this part of the deal.
When he says, also when we've seen reports, as you mentioned, that some of the hostages are not even with Hamas, how worried are you that they're going to, just as you said a moment ago, they're going to say, well, maybe these aren't ours, you're going to have to negotiate with this group. Sorry, we didn't realize that person, is no longer with us. Is there even concern that some of them may be out of Gaza? Do you believe they're all in Gaza?
I don't think that there is a possibility that they were smuggled out of Gaza, because the only way out is Egypt, and this is extremely hard to do. But I do think that some of them are hidden very well in Gaza. Some of them are not with Hamas. Some of them are with Islamic Jihad, or with some other local warlords that took hostages as tokens. And I think that Hamas knows where all the hostages are, but it will try to use this different whereabout as an excuse for them to say, those hostages are not under our authority, and we don't know where they are.
And also, do you believe then at some point they'll relinquish it and say, well, you'll have to deal with an Islamic Jihad or deal with so-and-so group? You think they'll try to help, or do you think at that point they're going to say, well, too bad, those aren't ours, you're going to have to deal separately with them?
It all depends on what serves them best at the specific time. If they need to deliver the hostages, they will find a way to do it. If they don't want, they will say there are 1,000,001 excuses, and certainly one of them will be, this is Islamic Jihad, is not under our authority. We had similar issues with them over the years. For example, many times we had truce with them or ceasefire, and then all of a sudden some rockets were shot from Gaza. And then Hamas would say, that's not us, that's the Islamic Jihad, or that was another ISIS branch or whatever. They've done it before.
You also believe that the leader of Hamas may save some for him. Explain why that is a big deal.
So the leader of Hamas understands what everyone in Israel understands. This will not end until Hamas is eliminated, and Hamas is eliminated when the top leaders of it are no longer alive or in Gaza. So Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, he would probably try to have some of the hostages always with him, so he can trade them as a getaway of out of jail card. When everything else is not possible for him. When we really close on him, he will he will try to trade him.
So you think that even if there's a whole bunch of hostages that are released now, there will be some held back on purpose in exchange for his freedom somehow, or at least he'll try that?
That's our estimation, yeah.
How much more complex does that make it then if he continues to hold some as bargaining chips?
It's complex, and it will only end when Hamas is fully eliminated. And we know that we're going there, and everybody in Israel are ready for that. And we know that this conflict could take long, months, not weeks. But we are willing to take this effort and pay the prices, because this is something that we just can't deal with as a state, to have Hamas next to us.
Let's talk about some of the military success, because obviously Israel has gotten in there. They've gotten around Al-Shifa Hospital, which is believed to be one of the main command and controls, if you will, for Hamas. Talk about how important it was to get there and to at least start getting into some of the tunnels. So we know for years that Hamas' main headquarters is below the Shifa Hospital. We know it from intelligence. We know it from people who work there. We know it by other countries, their intelligence. Even the White House confirms that they have an intelligence that Hamas HQ is underneath the hospital. It's only one of the centers. They have few. In fact, underneath Gaza, there's a whole metro system of tunnels and different situation rooms and headquarters, and they're all connected. And one of the objectives, the objective of eliminating Hamas and bringing back the hostages has to deal also with the tunnels and with the underneath bases, because this is where they hold their power. This is where they hid the hostages. And we can't really win this war without going to those places. So, of course, Al-Shifa Hospital was one of the main targets. It's a very sensitive situation because it is a hospital. It really is a hospital. There are people who are being treated there. There are people who are they have problem, being moved from there. And the last thing that we want is to put these people in jeopardy, to jeopardize these people. So we did everything with a lot of caution. We announced that this is what we're going to do at the beginning of this operation, 3 weeks before. Not only that, we also did it very gradually, paying with the life of our soldiers. The easiest thing would have been to just bomb everything from above, but we didn't want to do that. So we put our soldiers in jeopardy, and we did everything very slowly and gradually, and eventually we managed to take over this hospital. Now, over the past week since we took over, we are finding every day more evidence of what was going on there. First, we just found a shaft. Later on, we found a door inside a tunnel. Now we opened the door and we found some secret rooms with a lot of military equipment, not just Hamas military equipment, also of our soldiers, which proves that they were abducted and were kept there. On top of that, we also found the CCTV from the hospital. And in those tapes, you can see very, very clearly that Hamas took some of the hostages to the hospital, and not for medical treatment. You can see them walking. They're being dragged, but walking on two legs. And even if they were taken for medical treatment, the fact that they're not there
shows that their well-being wasn't the thing that Hamas cared about.
And finally, Itay Milner, how tough has it been to fight not just the physical war after your country was so brutally attacked? It's horrific what happened on October 7th to women, to children, to everyone. It's shocking beyond the conscience. And then yet there are still also a number of groups. You see it on some of the university campuses. You have to fight sort of a messaging war, too. Are you surprised to still see some of these protests? I sit there and I shake my head and say, what's going on with American education, especially?
Yeah, this is just horrific. I can tell you that the attack was at October 7. On October 8, we already had a protest outside the consulate of pro-Hamas protesters. On October 8, Israel did not even start a military operation. So what were they protesting? In fact, I looked at their signs and they were celebrating. They were not protesting. Over the past 6 weeks, we've seen those protests getting larger and larger. And we've seen also on campuses and online. And what's really concerning about it is it's young people. And in public opinion polls, you see that large number of young people in the U.S. support Hamas. It's not that they don't know what happened in October 7. They know, and they still support Hamas. Because in their view, Israel is the oppressor and Hamas is being oppressed. And if that's the situation, everything is permitted, even raping women, which is an absurd because many of those groups are groups that are advocating for women's rights or groups that are advocating for LGBT rights. And everybody knows what Hamas is doing to gay people in Gaza if there are any gay people in Gaza left. Okay, then they're not letting anyone even, become near. So it's very sad, but I think it's also, in a way, it's a good thing that we're seeing it now, because we were saying it for years. Okay, I'm a diplomat in the U.S., in different periods, but since 2015, and I've seen those things on campuses. I was a diplomat in the Midwest, and already in 2015, I've witnessed those things in universities, and I was worried, and people who dealt with it knew what's going on, but a lot of people, including in the Jewish community, were in denial of what's growing there. And now everybody is seeing it, and I hope that the fact that it's out there and the masks are off. There will be more measures taken against this situation, starting from universities and campuses. I think that some of the universities already did positive steps, like banning Students' Justice for Palestine group, but also in a national level and also in a community civil society level. This cannot be tolerated. It's not a threat just for Israel. I think it's a threat to American society. As everyone saw, some of those groups are even praising Bin Laden right now. So it's scary. It's scary, and I would be very worried if those were the young people in my country.
Yeah, it is really concerning. I will tell you that. Everybody, by the way, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast. Itay Milner, thank you so much. We are praying for Israel, and we also are praying that you eliminate Hamas, not just for Israel, but for the world. And we're thinking of you every single day. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.
Hello, folks. Larry Kudlow here. Pay attention, because China is leading the largest anti-American alliance since World War II. One that's already dumped U.S. bonds, grabbed 43 million acres of our farmland, and is plotting to dethrone the dollar. That's why IRA and 401k savers are protecting their savings with gold. Please go to freegoldguide.com/Kudlow or just call 800-621-3908 for your free gold guide on how to protect your wealth with gold 100% tax-free.